It is super frustrating getting injured. It's frustrating getting injured because you now have to stop and take care of the situation, and all you want to do is kind of get back to what you're doing. Well, what you're doing caused this injury, but it's still frustrating. And then when you try to address this issue, you have all sorts of bad thoughts in your head. And then you become mired in this, I don't know what to do, it takes too long, this is painful, I just want to get back to your life, cycle of thoughts. Well, I want you to stay tuned if this sounds familiar, because I've got 4 ways to make your corrective exercise program less frustrating. I'm Kim Bissell. I'm the owner of SolCore Fitness, and I'm a Soma therapist and a Soma trainer. I ran into this frustration big time when trying to correct my L4, L5 vertebra and sciatic pain. I ran into this frustration because I did everything I was supposed to do and didn't get any really sustained results, and was just managing basically the levels of pain as I went. That was very frustrating. I also helped hundreds of clients get out of their frustration. I did this because I took a macro view of what was going on. I stopped listening to basically what everybody else was telling me, which is about the same information. I started to really study and try to understand intricately what was going on in these certain areas, and then find out the quote-unquote rules that work best with the body. Then I started to get results, my clients started to get results. So I want to share the 4 ways that you can make your corrective exercise program less frustrating. But before I do, please take a second here to subscribe, hit that bell, so you'll be notified each time we put out videos about how best to balance and strengthen your body so you can live your life on your terms. When you tweak something or injure something, as you almost certainly will in this life, it's a frustrating situation. I get it. You have to stop your life and you have to take care of the situation in front of you. You could choose to ignore it and just sit around and wait for it to go away, but that doesn't really correct the issue. You may feel less pain or less inflammation, but the issue that caused you to have that pain is still there. And then if you choose to go at it, either by yourself or through with a practitioner, it still presents a bunch of frustrating situations. The first is confusion. It's confusion because there's too much information out there, and it all seems to be the one. Everybody talks about your issue, what they would do for it, and the outcome you get, some better than others. But it all makes general sense. And then you look at it and go, well, all these different people are saying these different things, but they all have different modalities. I don't understand how that works. You do it because they told you to do it, but it still leaves a little bit of, there's gaps in the process. It becomes very confusing when 2 different modalities talk about the same thing, and they give you the same protocol. You're like, well, that didn't work before. Why is it going to work now with what you said? This is because most programs derive their information from the same sources. They all have, in general, the same anatomy books and same general information about the different maladies they're trying to take care of. So everybody's coming from the same level. And it's not that this information is incorrect, it's that it's not the full picture. And then also when they study this information, they do it usually from a myopic view, right? They look at, okay, example, the knee, all right? The knee does this, we have all these situations, okay, well, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with the knee that doesn't involve the knee. As we all heard, the shin bones connect to the knee bone, connect to the hip bone. So when you're looking at something, it's not just where you have the issue, it's everything around it as well. That's the issue I ran into, is that they were only telling me partial information about that one area, my L4, L5 vertebra, my sciatic pain, that said this leads to your issues. Well, it wasn't until I realized on this bad circle, this hamster wheel of not getting results, that I had to stop, get off, take a look back at what was going on, and decide a different avenue. I came to some general understandings on the holistic view of the body, and also that what they told me in classes about anatomy wasn't the whole story. I started to see there's a lot more different links that are very important to making sure the body is corrected properly. So if you're going at it yourself, get out there and start digging in. You can start with the general books that people do, but there's a lot more books that you can start to read about different issues or different situations that can affect your issue. If you're going to do with a practitioner, start asking questions. If they start sounding and give you information like everybody else, well, you need to find somebody with a deeper view. Because being really specific, having that deeper view what made things less confusing because you can that person or you can articulate exactly here's the road we're going to go, and then we're going to adapt as we go along. This leads to the frustration number 2, is that the time it takes to correct your issues. This comes from 2 different reasons. One is that you've waited too long to correct the issue. 2 is that you're not being specific enough with your issue. We'll take the latter first. Again, like I mentioned before, if I specifically know where my issue is, and I can whittle it down to a certain tendon, ligament, or whatever that's causing most of the problems, not all, most, I can be specific with addressing that right away. I can go straight toward it. Then I can work with the things that surrounding that would also be affected. If I don't know those things, and I just view the body as like, oh, you have a, let's say the knee problem, then I can do something general. So I'm going to give you an example with the knee like we talked about before. So that knee, when you learn it in regular school, right, they talk about the ACL, the PCL, LCL, MCL, and that's about it. Well, that's not all the ligaments. There's a bunch more ligaments, there's a bunch of tendons, there's a bunch of different parts of it that could affect it. And what is the knee pain? Is it from patellofemoral syndrome or chondromalacia? Is it from damagement to one of those tendons or ligaments? Is it because improper alignment of the knee? Or is it also from something above or below, the hip or the foot? So if you went to somebody who did general stuff, they give you some sort of general proprioception to stand on your foot and balance to work your knee. They give you some sort of riding a bike, maybe squats, maybe leg press, and some general maybe heat and stim. Well, all those different issues I talked about before, the patellofemoral, the tendons and ligaments, the lateral tracking, they all have a different protocol. So you have a bunch of different protocols that you could use for that. So to be specific will reduce the time because now you're working exactly with what you need to work. The second part is you waited too long. So if you are proactive, you would do corrective exercise before you had the issue, which would lead to a better understanding of your body and a quicker result when you did have some sort of tweak. And if you got on it right away, within a couple of days of having the issue, it would go away pretty quickly. The problem arises when you wait. When you wait and you don't want to hurt it and you want to let it rest, well, now all that soft tissue around there starts to reorganize to the bad posture, to the bad position of whatever you hurt. You start to adapt to that. And you start to become, that's where you get some scar tissue potentially, lack of flow in the fascial fluids. All these things become more difficult the longer you wait, and you could wait too long to all of a sudden you actually can't come back to what you did before. So getting on it right away will drastically reduce that time as opposed to waiting later on and having to go through the whole situation. I'll give you a personal example again. Had I been proactive in my life as I was being athletic and working out, I'd have done corrective issues along the way. I've been more diligent. I didn't know about it, but I would have done that. Let's just say I knew. And then when I got hurt, I would have known what to do right away. But since I'd had decades of sports and working out, I kept re-educating and loading my body in a bad position, which means it got worse and worse and worse. So it took me approximately a year to get out of it. Because I tried to do the couple exercises and hope to feel better, but then I would injure myself when I went back to working out. So I finally said, okay, I'm gonna wait at least a year. And I just started slowly and worked my way up to eventually after a year, I can now do what I wanna do. Now I stay proactive so I don't get in that situation to begin with. Let's take a second here and check in. Has this been an issue with you? Are you frustrated with your corrective exercise program? Have you run into these walls and you don't know how to get past it? Give me a yes in the comments and let me know what's up. The third frustrating point about being on a corrective exercise program is a pain that's involved. There's a pain of incorporating something new into your daily routine, into your life. And of course, there's a pain of actually doing the program and the soreness and pains you feel in your body. But it's important to understand good and bad pain. So good pain is pain that you have to go through to achieve a new result, to learn something, to get better. Bad pain is just suffering. Suffering comes from doing the improper thing or fighting the process along the way. So when you incorporate something new into your life, you have to take baby steps and slowly bring it along to get into it. That way you accept what's going on. In terms of the exercise, you have to understand that there's going to be pain involved with the area you're working. That area is too tight, too dehydrated, is not strong enough, it's unaware. It's not going to feel comfortable to go at it. So, and it's not going to go away right away. So you don't just do one corrective exercise and all of a sudden everything goes back to normal. It takes time. 21 days is kind of like that rule everybody hears about. I'll be honest, it's probably more than that. In my unofficial experience, about 3 months you should expect in general to kind of correct something. But as you go through that, you have to keep going at that area. You can't just do a corrective exercise for the area you're working and then not do that for a while. You have to do it again and do it again and do it again. You have to keep telling that area, I want you to be XYZ. And after a while of doing XYZ, it finally learns. The fourth frustrating point is that people want to just get back to their lives. It's kind of a combination of the first three leading to frustration. You don't know what to do, it's painful, it's taking too long, I just want to go back to what I was doing. Well, you need to at least accept the situation. If you can have some joy and enthusiasm about it and kind of get into it and learn some new things about you and your body, even better. If you can at least accept the situation, well, then you can start to progress and move forward. But the longer you wait to accept and get into it, the harder it's going to be, as I've mentioned. I've had two examples just recently come into me, is that for decades, they've slowly had things start to come up. And so I told them, this is what it's going to take. We have to correct these things. We have to relearn. We have to integrate it. We have to build your new structure. Also, you can, get your body back. And after 3 or 4 sessions, they can already see in their eyes, they're getting frustrated. They start talking about different things they want to do, like they want to jump out and do something different. I keep telling them, if you jump out and go back and do what you've been doing, you're going to get more of the same result. You're going to hurt yourself more, you have more dysfunction, and that's all going to lead to eventually some sort of injury surgery. And now, that's it. Whatever surgery you have, now you have a new paradigm in that surgery. So the quicker you can accept the situation, the quicker you can get out of it. If you're stuck in this situation of being in pain and not be able to get out of pain and are frustrated by it, and you want some support, then let's jump on a diagnostic call to help you out. We'll unpack where you are, what you were doing, what you are doing, and where you want to go. We'll try to give you as much information as possible and show you the path forward. If that path forward is working with us, we'll make sure that you're a good fit and get you going. Otherwise, stay tuned for this next video on sciatic pain, but don't forget to subscribe. Please like and share this so others can see this. And remember, it's not just working out, it's building a foundation for a better life.